So first of all, PlayStation just released their financials for 2024, and they generated $865 million in first-party PC sales for the year of 2024. Now, before we get into thoughts specifically, the one thing I do want to ask, in addition to just your general thoughts on this, is what you think this could potentially indicate for the future of PlayStation first-party games on PC. So, give it to me.
So this now before the general
discussion.
Well,
we can do both. I
okay.
Just cover both topics at the same time.
Okay. All right. So what this means, I guess you could say, regarding the future of PlayStation first-party titles. I mean, the fact that, you know, the screenshot here mentioned that this was primarily attributable to Helldivers 2 as well as ports released on Steam. You know, one of the things mentioning that there is the fact that Helldivers 2 was also released on PC as well. You know, day one at that. So the fact that essentially a good chunk of the sales came from PC, I mean, I think that it really shows that Sony really understands that PC is not an option anymore. It's really more so something they have to do. They have to take into consideration. They have to develop for it. They have to put their games in there because they're not really going to be getting these types of numbers without PC. And I mean, sure, they've generated revenue from ports, remasters on, you know, PlayStation, on the PlayStation's end. But other than that, though, and I mean, you know, think about the fact that as far as completely new releases go, they've been really stagnant these past few years. It's primarily just remasters or remakes of games that have already come out. So, I mean, I think the last completely brand new game was either God of War Ragnarok or Spider-Man 2. I don't remember which one came out last. But it was just those two games. Everything else has just been ports or remasters. So I think that as far as the first party titles go, we're probably going to get much closer to day and date than, you know, possibly was previously stated. Maybe within a year, I would say. But we might get to a point where games could come out maybe within 6 months, I'd say. Just because I can't remember where. I thought I saw, it wasn't here, but I thought I saw somewhere else, like, there was a statement. I can't remember who made the statement, but essentially, PlayStation, I can't remember. They saw that they want to start trying to get into the Chinese market, and they noticed that there is a growing market share of PC gamers in the Chinese market. And so as a result of that, you know, they're also going to want to focus more on PC because of the fact that that's a growing market there. And if they want to get into the Chinese market, they have to get into the PC market as well.
Yep.
So it's really unavoidable at this point. And regardless of how any type of PlayStation fanboy feels, Sony is going to double down on PC because it's just not that much of an option. And especially, you know, if they want to if they want to make up for these big budget games that they're making, you know, having them being exclusive is, it might work out well, but they can't make that much of a gamble. They want to really get back on their investment, so they have no choice essentially but to put the games on another platform, i.e. PC, just to make sure that there's a chance that they can earn back what they put out there. So that's how I feel about, I guess, I mean, it's a long-winded statement, but I guess that's my answer to the question you had. But then I guess just as in general, how I feel about this. I mean, I guess it still kind of connects back to it. It's the fact that, again, a large portion of this, of course, we don't know what the percentage is exactly, but considering the fact that, again, it said that ports on Steam and Helldivers 2 were the main factors to these sales, it shows that PC was a main factor. And because what was it? Was it about, it was roughly 50-50 sales for Helldivers 2 and
No, it was 60-40 PC over PlayStation.
wow. So yeah, so
Actually,
essentially
I think it was over 60%, or it was either over 60% or just under 60%. I can't remember.
Okay. So that being said, PC has been carrying a good portion of PlayStation, essentially, considering the fact that, you know, they said it was mainly attributable to Helldivers 2 as well as the ports released on Steam. That means that a good chunk of the 865 million is PC money. So again, you know, Sony can't.
Well,
scoff
all
at
of it
PC.
is PC money. That 865 million is just
Oh,
PC.
all of this.
That's just PC. And let me look at the tweet again. Let's see here. It was well, I guess it's non-PlayStation platforms, but considering the fact, I say that the vast majority of that is PC. I mean, the primary attribute is PC ports on Steam and Helldivers 2. So,
okay,
but
okay,
I mean, the only stuff that was PlayStation published content off of PlayStation, other than PC, was Lego Horizon Adventures on the Switch and MLB The Show, which is on both the Xbox and Switch.
Okay. Okay, so that definitely changes things, but I still think that, I mean, still, and I think even essentially, if you look at just, you know, just look at the fact that now that changes how I see things, you know, the fact that the sales went up 71%, I think really shows that still there is a good market here that Sony needs to invest in and just, you know, continue to support. And also, hopefully this also shows Sony that maybe, because as a result of this, we shouldn't try to shoehorn PSN, because we could hurt ourselves in the long run. And of course, you know, Sony has started to backpedal on their stance regarding PSN. And also, hopefully, that means that they'll ease on restrictions in other countries where it's a requirement. But but still, it just shows that Sony definitely needs to keep going in on PC because it's really helping them out a whole lot.
I agree. So in terms of my overall thoughts on this, I think it is a great thing that these games have made some good profits for Sony, because it should encourage them to, you know, double down, like you said, to keep putting more games on PC. And, you know, as we've stated many times before, we are not in a position where we are short on games to play. I've bought more PlayStation ports than you have because there's a number of the ones they've released that were games that I either enjoyed having played them previously on PS4, or games that I know I would enjoy because they're sequels to games I played on PS4. And I mean, you know, like Horizon Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok, which actually, I mean, I played a little bit of that on PS4. I just didn't get super far. Or, you know, like Ratchet and Clank, which I've enjoyed all the previous Ratchet and Clank games I played, so I knew I was going to love that on PC as well. But yeah, this is all positive from the PC side of things. And I know that the hardcore fanboys are not particularly fond of this idea. I mean, that's putting it mildly. Most of them are actually like really mad about it. I mean, there are some that are more reasonable. It's just typically those I wouldn't classify as fanboys so much as fans. And it's definitely a situation where we have to wait and see how much more this kind of stuff is going to happen. But in terms of the future of the PC ports, I've said it before, I will say it again, day and date is coming. It may not be with the next release, it may not be with Ghost of Yotei. They may do... I mean, I guess it wouldn't be unreasonable to think that, like you said, they start with something like 6 months in between releases. If they don't just decide to jump straight into day and date, which I think that there's a reasonable chance. I think that it's more likely that they would shrink the window before they just make a day and date. But I mean, Sony's had this pattern. You know, they started off in 2020 when Horizon Zero Dawn, right before that came out, Herman Hulst saying, you know, we thought that this was going to be a good fit for PC, but this doesn't mean that every PlayStation first-party game is going to come to PC. It's just this one was a good fit. And then in the future, I mean, and then after a while, it changed to, well, we are going to be releasing our games on PC, but it's not going to be day and date, and there's going to be at least a year in between releases. Except for with our live service games, which will be day and date. Then, not only did they release live service games day and date, one of which, of course, flopped, which was Concord, and the other one was a runaway success, which was Helldivers 2. But then they started doing some of their smaller first-party games, doing Lego Horizon Adventures and Until Dawn Remake or Remaster, whatever you want to call it. And I feel like there was one more too, but I can't remember what it was, if there was. Maybe I'm remembering wrong. But either way, it's been happening. We've had some day and date releases, and as to how well they've done, well, Lego Horizon Adventures just didn't do well, period. Until Dawn Remaster didn't do well, period. So it wasn't specifically, oh, these were failures because they were day and date on PC. No, it's just people weren't that interested. They didn't really care for them. Oh yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, that was the other one. And that one, I think, just once again, it just hasn't done that well because people didn't really want it. I mean, it looks a lot better than the original version, but a lot of people are just kind of like, I mean, what's the point? You know, it's like, yeah, it looks better, but I can already play it 60 frames per second on my PS5. What's the point? Or, you know, in the case of PC players, you know, we can already play it 120 plus frames per second at 4K in some cases on our PCs. You know, you can play this game on your Steam Deck. What's the advantage apart from it looking a little better? But whatever. Yeah, I mean, I think that the future is PC is going to, that window's going to shrink a little bit first, or, you know, probably shrink down to 6 months like you suggested. And then I think that probably when they do their next new IP, like Wolverine, I think that one's going to be day and date. Either that, or they might do like 2 or 3 that are like a 6 month window, or, you know, shrink the window a little bit each time, and then do day and date with one of their new IPs. But it's coming. Day and date is coming one way or another, and it's better for PlayStation fans and fanboys alike, especially fanboys, to just mentally prepare themselves. And then after a while, they'll come to realize that, you know, it's really not in any way negatively impacting them, like most Xbox gamers have, you know, come to accept. They came to realize when it started happening day and date with PC, as time went on, they just realized, you know, this really doesn't affect me. I can still play my game on my Xbox, and more people get to enjoy it. So, it is what it is. Just let people enjoy games. It's like, hey, more of us get to enjoy a game. If it's great, it's worth it. And if it's not great, well, it is what it is, I guess. But yeah. That's pretty much all my thoughts on that.